Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks everyone so much for commenting on last night's video with suggestions for my next video, which is of course this video. I'll get to the topic at hand, which I sort of found as a common thread amongst the topics, the comments soon, which is what today's video will be on. But I just wanted to give some honorable mentions, so to speak, on some suggestions that people made. And there's some great ideas there for some future videos. The first one, shame on anyone, because I did say that I will not, don't suggest anything silly like doing backflips. So shame on anyone that suggests that I backflips over RAV4s and backflips over stacked ETB towers. I do not have the athletic ability to do anywhere near that. So I won't be doing that, thank you very much. But we had things like, let's check out the whole collection. So a video of that will be coming. Things like batching and, so I suppose guaranteed hits amongst sets. I did want to touch on that really quickly because, it's a $1 million question. We don't know what's really going on inside the printing facility in terms of, okay, this pack has a hit, this doesn't, this doesn't. This pack has a hit, this doesn't, this doesn't. These 700 don't. Then we're going to put a Giratina Alt Art in this pack. And do they all just get mixed up and put inside booster boxes randomly? Or is there something more staged to it? That's the $1 million question, isn't it? It would be a good video to do on that. I think it's almost naive to think that something doesn't happen along those lines. I think there would need to be some regulation to it, especially when we see mistakes like that silver Tempest mix-up in the tins where there was some guaranteed hits. Every tin seemed to come with some sort of hit. So there's got to be something at play there. What the answer is, I'm not sure, but some other suggestions was investing in older sets, XY series, black and white series, singles versus sealed across time, Crown Zenith. If you haven't watched this, my channel much, I've been doing a whole series throughout the whole Sword and Shield series. I just finished Silver Tempest, so the next one to do is Crown Zenith. I score them out of 15 based on their investability, so I will be doing a video on Crown Zenith. We had other suggestions like triple blisters or check lane blisters and how they perform in comparison to things like booster boxes from older sets and what we can take away from that. And then finally, we had things like, what's the plan with your collection? What do you do with it when, you get older and grayer and whatever else comes in between of all that? Does it get passed on? Is it insured? All those sort of things. How do you look after it? So some great topics. I'll take those on board. But I suppose the answer to what this video is going to be about is the really common theme that I saw come up, and that theme is, where do you see the future of modern sets? There's things set in stone with Sun and Moon, but where do you see Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet heading? So I decided to make a video today, which is of course today's topic, just around main Sword and Shield sets. And a lot of people ask things like, where do you see it in 2 years or 5 years time or 10 years time? So I've decided just to break it down for the next 2 years and the next 5 years on every Sword and Shield main set. So I'm not doing the holiday sets without booster boxes. So we're just going to be looking at booster box price. Now, this isn't based off anything in particular other than my own, knowledge of the market across the years and, for lack of a better word, a gut feeling or a prediction. I'm going to add some arguments in there as to why I think those things will happen. You can take them with a grain of salt. You can go, okay, let's lock in some guaranteed profit off what Michael said. Don't hang, draw, and quarter me if it doesn't happen. But, I think somewhat these are going to be pretty accurate. Unfortunately for Australian viewers, it's all going to be in US dollars. So do the conversion. There are some discrepancies, and I'll touch on Australian prices a little bit because there are some differences there, but let's get it started. Let's jump straight in with Sword and Shield base. So Sword and Shield base current booster box price is $288 US. And I do see a slight discrepancy here in Australian dollars because there's not currently one listed on sale on eBay Australia for under 600 Australian, which is more like 370, 380. Doesn't mean it's selling for that price, but there's nothing listed under that. So, but anyway, let's work off. This is all TCG player data. So $288 is what base set's going to be. Where do I see it in 2 years' time? There's not much of this product left on the market. The market has absorbed it. There's no eBay sales with multiple listings of this product. There's no real store sales left. They're all private sales, so to speak. So, the market's starting to step up that stairway of low supply, look, there's not going to be heaps of demand for this set, but historically base sets do well. Look, except Sun and Moon base, but look at XY base, look at black and white base. You know, historically base sets that don't get massively printed do well. And in comparison to the rest of the Sword and Shield block, this booster box wasn't printed heavily. So in 2 years, I see it moving north by $100. So I'll see it sitting around somewhere $380. And in 5 years' time, I see it moving even further north. Like, I don't think you're going to be able to get one for under $500. So I'll probably see it sitting around $550 in 5 years. That's my take on base. Moving along, next one is Rebel Clash. Now this one, both Sword and Shield base and Rebel Clash are arguably weak sets, but they were low print run compared to the rest of the Sword and Shield block. So currently a Rebel Clash booster box is $290. And again, there seems to be a bit of a discrepancy there in Australian dollars because a lot of them are listed for $450, $500. Australian dollars, again, haven't sold, but that's what they're listed for on eBay Australia. But TCG price got it at $219 US. I don't see this being quite as strong as the base set in 2 years' time. I just don't think, the base set is this introduction to a new block, and for some reason that seems to hold a bit of weight. The second set in a series lately seems to be the introduction to the new Pokemon. Like if you look at Paldea Evolved and you look at Rebel Clash, which has the 3 new starters in it. But in terms of 2 years, I see this sitting a bit less than Sword and Shield base. So because of the lack of supply and the lower print on this, I still see it moving up, probably gaining, same thing, somewhere around maybe $120. I'll probably see it sitting around $350 in 2 years' time, and somewhere closer to $500 in 5 years' time. Darkness Ablaze, the next one. Now, this one was printed to oblivion. $152 is the current box price. It is starting to move up a little bit, but boy, has it taken some time. There is really only one chase card in this set, which is that Charizard VMAX. That's the hard thing about this set and the previous 2 sets and the next set, Vivid Voltage. If you open them, even if you were to pull almost a master set, for argument's sake, it's still pretty much not worth the price of one booster box, which is just madness. But I do see it moving slowly still because there's still a couple of multiple sales of this item on eBay. There's still, people with 4 boxes for sale or 3 boxes for sale, or in some cases half a dozen boxes for sale. So there's still some supply that needs to be absorbed. And that supply is not going to be absorbed quickly because it's going to be a slow burn. This set isn't the flavor of the month. There's new sets coming out. There's people's attention have turned to new sets. But I can tell you now, 18 months ago, Darkness Ablaze was cheaper and there was more supply. There were still stores with 20 or 30 or 50 boxes in stock. So the fact that it's dwindling down means pricing will move, but it'll do slowly. So in 2 years' time, I see this sitting at about $220 a box. And in 5 years' time, I see it sitting just under $300 a box at $280 a box in 5 years' time. It does have that thrill of the Charizard, that first sort of Charizard VMAX, which was printed to oblivion throughout the Sword and Shield set in many iterations. That's where I see it. Vivid Voltage, I think, follows an extremely similar trend to Darkness Ablaze in the fact that 18 months ago, there was 30, 50 stores with 30, 50 stock items of booster boxes. And same thing as Darkness Ablaze, we're down to 3, 4, in a lot of cases, just singular items, private sales. It's currently $136 a box. In 2 years' time, I actually see it overtaking Darkness Ablaze by the 5-year mark. I'll get to that in a second, but in 2 years I see it at $210 because there's still a bit more supply out there than Darkness Ablaze, but I do think it's a slightly stronger set than Darkness Ablaze, and it is a bit a booster box with Pikachu on the box, and the Rainbow Pikachu is a stronger chase than the Charizard VMAX from Darkness Ablaze. So in 5 years' time, I see it overtaking it, just probably going to be about $300 a booster box in 5 years' time, I reckon. Next one. Battle Styles, arguably, or a lot of people say it's the weakest set from Sword and Shield. I don't think it is. I don't think it is at all. I think it's stronger than Darkness Ablaze. I think it's stronger than Rebel Clash. I think it's stronger than Sword and Shield base. However, it was printed heavily, and supply was overshadowed, so to speak, by Chilling Reign and then eventually Evolving Skies. So there was a lot left on the shelves, so to speak, and it's taken time to eat through that. So it's still currently $110 a box. In 2 years' time, I see it sitting around the $200 mark. And in 5 years' time, I see it sitting pretty close to Vivid Voltage. I think, those alt art sitting inside the set add some weight to it. It's just going to take time to work through that supply. So I think $300 in 5 years' time is my prediction. Now, one of my favourite sets up next from the whole Sword and Shield block is Chilling Reign. I love the artwork. I know there's not a mega chase card inside this set. There's not an old art Lugia. There's not that Giratina. There's not an alt art Charizard, but there's not a Moonbryon. But boy, that Blaziken is one hell of a cool looking card. And the rest of the alt, like this is loaded with alt art. So I like it, I like it. It's currently 144 a booster box. Same thing, supply has dwindled down pretty much to individual sales on eBay, which is a good sign, which means the market's finally absorbed a lot of the supply. Currently, yeah, like I said, currently 144 a box. I think, and maybe I'm being a bit bullish on this, but I think in 2 years' time, you're going to battle to find one for, definitely under 250 and maybe even 300. So I'm going to pencil in a prediction of $300 US in 2 years' time. And I like this set. I like it a lot. In 5 years' time, I think it's going to be up there. It's going to be, it's top five, if not top four Sword and Shield sets. It's just missing a trainer gallery, which hurts it a little bit. But I think, given it's a little bit more mature than some of those sets, it's been on the market a little bit longer than some of those trainer gallery sets. Again, I'm being bullish with it. I'm going to say $600 in 5 years' time, Chilling Reign. Bold, but hey, next one, Evolving Skies. Currently $418. There is no doubt about it. The set list from this set is the strongest Sword and Shield set. I know pull rates can be painful, but in a way it adds value. Like it makes the chase cards harder to get, and the harder they are to pull, the more value they're worth. And the more value the chase cards are worth, and the more it pulls up the booster box price. And the more the booster box price is worth. It's this, you get the idea. It's this never-ending sort of story. So $418 now. In another 2 years' time, I don't think you're going to be able to get this box for under $650 Australian, which is $650 US, which is going to be $1,000 Australian. Like they're already on eBay Australia, all around $700 Australian. So I don't think you're going to get it under $1,000 in 2 years' time. So $650 is my prediction, and a strong prediction for 5 years' time. $1,300 US a box in 5 years' time. It's going to follow some sort of similar trend, I feel, to your Cosmic Eclipse, maybe even like somewhere between a Cosmic Eclipse and Team Up sort of vibe. It's obviously not printed to the small amount that Team Up was, but it's such a brilliant set and deserves every accolade it gets. Next one, Fusion Strike. This is still, and there's a big discrepancy in this in Australia versus US, because it's listed at 144 US on TCG Player, but in Australia it's a lot cheaper than that. You still pick up boxes for 180, 190. In fact, I haven't looked for Fortnite, so don't quote that. It might be 200. Either way, it's cheaper than the US price, and there's still a lot of stock around. There's still eBay stores with 20 plus stock items of booster boxes. So it's going to take a while to move. So I haven't got this moving far in 2 years, only up to 220. I think once it eats through that supply, I've got a stronger prediction for 5 years at 550, just because of how strong those old art chase cards are. And the Psychic sets always seem to do well. The Gengar VMAX, the Espeon, it's got some beautiful top tier chase cards inside the set. So I think in 5 years' time, it'll be good. It's like that XY Phantom Forces sort of vibe to me. So I see it performing well. So in 5 years, but not so much in the short term, because there's a lot of supply to eat through. Next one, Brilliant Stars, great set. Introduction to Trainer Gallery, Charizard alt art, currently at 149 US. Although I think you can still buy it. Correct me if I'm wrong. You can still buy it off the Pokemon Center US website at retail. So there's a bit of a discrepancy there. But 149, this is a strong set. $300 is where I see it. It's dearer in Australia, like 149 US will not buy you one in Australia. You've got to spend at least $300 here, which is more like $200 US. So I see it moving to $300 US in 2 years and $650 in 5 years. That's where I see it. Next one, Astral Radiance. Now these prices are subject to no reprint. It hasn't copped the reprint yet, unlike the final two main Sword and Shield sets, Lost Origin and Silver Tempest. So it's in this little safety zone, for lack of a better word. Currently at 142 US. If there's no reprint, I see this moving to 290 in 2 years. And I know that's a bold move, like it's it's doubling its money in 2 years. But without a reprint, I can see that happening. It's a stronger set than what people think. It's got a great trainer gallery, particularly that Starmie card. I think the alt arts are a little bit undervalued, and I can see them moving up a little bit in the next couple of years. So and in 5 years, again, this is subject to no reprint. If a reprint happens with Astral Radiance, it'll change things drastically. But if no reprint, I see this as $600 a box in 5 years. I don't see it, evolving skies sort of heights, of course, but I see it moving up pretty quickly. Second last set, main set from the Sword and Shield era is, of course, Lost Origin. Brilliant set, great chase cards, strong trainer gallery. A slight bit stronger than Astral Radiance overall, but a much stronger top tier chase card. So currently $137 US. It's of course had a reprint recently, which didn't hurt it too much. I see it moving because of that reprint to 250 in 2 years' time, just because of how strong the chase cards are, and I see a supply being eaten up pretty quickly. In 5 years' time, I see it moving more north than Astral Radiance, even though it has copped the reprint. I see it sitting at 650 just because of how strong the chase cards are inside it. Final set, Silver Tempest. This one I think is going to be a little bit of a slow burn. There's heaps of supply still on the market. There's listings with stores with 50 plus booster boxes in stock on eBay. It's currently $124 US. It's the only set with Fusion Strike here in Australia that you can sort of still pick up at a retail price, around that 180, 190 mark, which is where it sits. 124 currently a box. In 2 years' time, it's going to take a little while to eat through this reprint. I've probably been a little bit strong on this. But I think it's going to sit somewhere around 180, maybe. I could be a little bit firm on that and a bit strong, but it does have that Lugia and it does have a trainer gallery, which does make it a little bit stronger than sets like, say Darkness Ablaze at the start of the Sword and Shield block. And finally, in 5 years' time, I can't see you picking up an alt art trainer gallery Sword and Shield set for under $400 US. So that's where I put it. Now, I haven't ranked those as high as, say, a set like Chilling Reign, because Chilling Reign's had more time in the market to appreciate already and supply to be dwindled and eaten up. So that's where I see it. Where do you guys see it? One exciting thing I do have coming up, I'd like to do just, I suppose, a bit of a question and answer video. I'm going to, not this video, but soon I'm going to say, drop me a comment right at the start of probably my next video or the video after that. Drop me some questions, and then the whole next video will just be on answering people's questions. So good to chat to you all again. I hope you liked that video. Thanks heaps for the comments previously and the suggestions for this video. I'm Michael. This is PokeOz. Catch you next time.